I started off basically as an academic at a university, a historian, and I'd always done a lot of singing at school and at university as an undergraduate. And it gradually took over, really. I started doing concerts and entering competitions, and it just eventually snowballed and took over, and I had to make the decision whether to stay in a university or leave, and I finally decided I'd leave and become a singer.
I went to a music school, specialist music school, because I was mad about piano and playing the piano and music, and my parents realised I was only going to be happy if I actually had enough time to do it. And while I was there, I went through a lot of the solo piano repertoire. It wasn't until I got to the Royal College of Music, right in my very first couple of weeks there, I started working with other first years, clarinetists, violinists, not singers, and I suddenly thought, this is what I want to do. I want to do chamber music. It didn't suit me temperamentally to do solo, to go on a stage by myself. I wanted to be on a stage with somebody else, and it was a revelation for me.
And I mean, I never dreamt that I'd end up being able to be a leader singer, so it's sort of like a fantasy come true.
Die Rose, die Lilie, die Taube, die Sonne, die liebt ich als alle in Liebeswonne. Ich lieb sie nicht mehr, ich liebe alleine, die Kleine, die Feine, die Reine, die eine. Sie selber, alle Liebe Wonne, ist Rose und Lilie und Taube und Sonne. Ich liebe alleine, die Kleine, die Feine, die Reine, die eine, die eine.
Ian and I first met because we were asked, both of us, to do a performance of On Wenlock Edge.
I mean, I first met him actually performing On Wenlock Edge at Hokum Hall in Norfolk, in a great sort of grand marble hall.
And though we knew of each other, Ian was in fact very new on the scene. He had been signed up by YCAT, but basically people hadn't really heard of this new tenor. The word was just getting around.
We did that, and then he played the Schumann piano quintet with a group of string players, which was fantastic. And I knew straight away, as soon as I heard him playing that, what an incredibly passionate pianist he is, which I think is very important for the repertoire that we do.
Well, Ian is a wonderful leader singer, and when I say that, it means that he has a real affinity with the words. The most important thing probably for the singer is to deliver the words. That's what tells you the story, and that and his face, the way he delivers the words, are what really communicates the emotion.
There's a very special skill involved in the sort of organic relationship between the singer and the pianist.
He's not doing it for any reason than that he really loves the repertoire, so that makes him very inspiring to work with.
Des Hauses aufgestecktes Schild, so hätt nimmer suchen wollen, im Haus ein treues Frauenbild.
The Winterreise film is directed by David Alden, who's famous for his sort of radical, outrageous productions.
David Alden was given free rein to actually dramatise the emotion of the work and the meaning, the inner meaning of the work, in his very idiosyncratic and individual way.
I mean, I was very worried about the idea of dramatising Winterreise, because I sort of felt it should be left alone and it was somehow sort of untouchable.
What I don't understand is, I don't understand why you don't take a little more time at the end of these phrases.
It was a fascinating time for us, exploring the music over about a period of 3 weeks, going through rehearsals.
There's also a documentary attaching to the film, which is an account of how we made the film. And it's a sort of, the director describes it as a sort of buddy movie, because it's me and Julius initially sort of pitted against this crazy American director.
Ist ein helles, warmes Haus.
There was a certain amount of tension and, I wouldn't say fighting, but a certain amount of disagreements about how things should go.
David's got a very good sense of humour and is very sort of parodies himself in the film and will sort of say, "Couldn't you make it a little bit more sort of crazy?" like this, and Julius is going, "Oh my God."
It's doubly kind of sly and freaky and and unheimlich and sort of, especially when you get to the nur nicht so laut.
It was rather extraordinary performing at the Glyndebourne Gala because I suddenly found myself in the company of all these people that, I mean, like, you know, Thomas Hampson and Roberto Alagna, and I didn't suddenly become part of this starry setup was very exciting. But it was also, everyone was very supportive. It was a very comfortable experience. Franz Wesemus was a fantastically nurturing conductor. I'd sang the aria from the Magic Flute, which I'd sung in English at the English National Opera, and this was my first opportunity to sing it in German in public. And he was wonderfully supple, and it's a sort of notoriously difficult aria in terms of pacing and breath, and he really was able to follow me in a wonderful way with very little rehearsal.
Ich grolle nicht, und wenn das Herz auch bricht, ewig verlorenes Lieb, ewig verlorenes Lieb, ich grolle nicht, ich grolle nicht.
Schumann's Dichterliebe is the first song cycle I ever performed. I sang it at school when I was 17, and so it means a lot to me from that point of view. And the Schumann repertoire on this record is all repertoire that I've been singing a lot over the, since before I was a singer. I mean, I did recitals at university, and these are things that I did then as well, and I've also performed them a lot with Julius.
Es fällt kein Strahl in deines Herzens Nacht.
Schumann I think he's an interesting writer for the voice, because I'm not sure to what degree I'm not sure quite how to put this, but vocally aware. He obviously knew singers, he was close to instrumentalists, but I don't know if he had a very clear, not exactly understanding, because I'm sure he had an understanding, but I don't know if he was always thinking about how things would lie in the voice. There are songs like Ich grolle nicht, which are essentially baritone songs, but then have an extraordinary sort of extension upwards. I mean, the top A in Ich grolle nicht is only optional. It's not even particularly. It's become a tradition for people to sing it, and even baritones, it's something they have to do. But it's an isolated top A, so it's not as if they're having to sing up there all the time.
Ich sah dich hier im Traume und sah die Nacht in eines Herzens Raume und sah die Schlange, die dir am Herzen frisst. Ich sah, mein Lieb, wie sehr du elend bist. Ich grolle nicht, ich grolle nicht.
I've just recorded the orchestral version of Vaughan Williams's On Wenlock Edge with Bernard Haitink and the London Philharmonic. This is the first time I'd ever worked with Bernard Haitink, and it was really wonderful. He's obviously wonderfully musical, and it was also very easy. There was a very easy exchange of ideas, and we got through things very smoothly.
They told the one bell only, Krumm there was none to see. The mourners followed on.
I've performed the songs a lot before, but in their original version, which is for piano quintet. In fact, performed them with Julius a number of times. The poems are by A.E. Hausmann.
The bells they sound on Brieden, and still the steeples hum. From hall to church to people,
They're about loss and love, but they were very popular as poems in the First World War. People took copies of A Shropshire Lad into the trenches, and they're very poignant in that sense. And I think the orchestral version is interesting from that point of view, because Vaughan Williams wrote on Wenlock Edge in, I think, 1908 or 1909 for piano quintet, very much under the influence of Ravel. I mean, my favourite song on Breeden Hill has a lot of sort of Ravel-type effects. But then he had them orchestrated he orchestrated them himself in the 1920s after the First World War, and I think they'd become popular probably because of that First World War experience and people loving the poems. And the particular poignant one in that sense is My Team Ploughing, which is a ghostly song in which a ghostly voice says, "Is my team ploughing? Is everything going on normally? Now I'm dead." And his friend says, "Yes, everything's normal." And he says, "Is my girl happy?" And the friend says, "My girl is happy. Your girl is happy."
Is my team ploughing that I was used to drive, and hear the harness jingle when I was man alive.
But then the ghostly voice realizes that the girl is happy because she is now shacked up with the friend. So it's this idea of dying and your life being taken over by somebody else, which must have been, I mean, it's the sort of First World War anxiety, I suppose.
Is my girl happy that I thought hard to leave? And has she tired of weeping as she lies down at ease? She lies down, lies here. She lies not down to me. Your girl is well contented. Be still, my lad, and sleep.
The Schubert disc we made, which is coming out in May, was recorded at Abbey Road, which is a sort of very exciting place to record when you think of the people who've recorded there. I mean, a lot of my heroes as musicians, people like Schnabel and the Beatles.
In einem Bächlein helle, da schoss in froher Eil die launische Forelle vorüber wie ein Pfeil. Ich stand an dem Gestade und sah ihm süße Ruh des muntern Fischleins Bade im klaren Bächlein zu, des muntern Fischleins Bade im klaren Bächlein zu.
It's very different from the Schumann disc because it's a miscellaneous selection of songs. It doesn't have the cyclic unity that the Schumann disc has. But I hope that it sort of reflects a lot of the different moods that Schubert creates in his songs.
Ein Fischer mit der Rute wohl an dem Ufer stand und saß mit kaltem Blute, wie sich das Fischlein wand. Solang dem Wasser hell, so dacht ich nicht gebricht, so fängt die Forelle mit seiner Angel nicht, so fängt die Forel mit seiner Licht.
I studied history first of all, and then got very interested in the history and philosophy of science, the history of science in the 17th century, and that in turn got me interested in witchcraft, because one of the things that these scientists thought proved the existence of spirits were all these relations of the operations of witches and the devil in the world. Then managed to get a fellowship back at Oxford to turn my thesis into a proper book and to expand its outlook slightly. The book is called Witchcraft and its Transformations, 1650 to 1750. It's published by Oxford University Press, and it's really trying to look at why educated people stopped thinking it was reasonable to believe in witchcraft.
Im wunderschönen Monat Mai, als alle Knospen sprangen, da ist in meinem Herzen die Liebe aufgegangen.
I'm going to be writing a book commissioned by Menuhin about being a singer. It's going to be something like a singer's A to Z. So I'll have essays under letters of the alphabet, so that I can write, for example, an essay about Schubert, which I'm very interested in from a sort of vaguely historical, cultural, academic perspective, but with stuff about the experience of singing it and performing it.
Im wunderschönen Monat Mai, als alle Vögel sangen, da hab ich hier gestanden, mein Sehnen und Verlangen.
In 1998, I'm going to Paris to sing with Julius, to give my first full recital in Paris at the Louvre Auditorium, singing some of the Schubert songs that are on the Schubert disc. I'm doing my first North American recital to singing in Berkeley, Vancouver, Vermont and New York. I've got a very exciting thing, a Winterreise in Munich, which is going to be my first Winterreise in a German-speaking country.
We're going to continue recordings with the MI. We've got one planned, I think, in the autumn of '98, going to explore English song, a disc called On This Island, and just looking very exciting.
Ich sah dich ja im Traume und sah die Nacht in eines Herzens Raum.